in Detroit. Pontiac has issued a tornado warning for northeastern Macomb County in southeastern Michigan, west central St. Clair County in southeastern Michigan until 10 p.m. At 8:07 p.m., a tornado-producing storm was located over Armada or near Richmond, moving northeast at 15 miles per hour. Hazard: damaging tornado. Source: radar confirmed tornado. Impact: flying debris would be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This tornadic thunderstorm will remain over mainly rural areas of northeastern Macomb and West.
Hey there, KNWXers. Today we'll be talking about the July 11th Supercells and Lexington tornado. So let's just, get straight into it. Just one thing I want to point out. Yes, I'm finally on my computer rather than my phone. So I should be able to, I get a lot more freedom, especially with, got it wrong there. Especially what I got going on over here on the left side of the screen. I get to display this right over here. So, and I get just more freedom overall. I can edit videos faster. It's just better overall. So let's get straight into this. So looking back at the day of July 14th 2023, our first bit kind of big storms we got are going on around the Bay City region. This is our beginner storms. As you can see, little other cells popping up around it, and this is some moments where some of these cells actually go tornado warned. I believe our first tornado warning is right here. I don't think this ever produced a tornado, though we did have one here. We're about to see that in the future. We'll also have a look at velocity and all that. So let's continue going for this day. And then we have other cells developing around west of Oakland County. And you can see some of these storms not organized yet, look more multicellular, but I mean, it does seem like we got kind of a supercell action going on right here with this one. Some of these other ones also do look really good too. If we go back to this one, you could really see like some of the mini bow echoes forming on these storms, signifying strong winds. I think this storm right here also went tornado warned right here. You can see that hook echo, very lovely hook echo right there. And let's continue going. So at this time, there's severe thunderstorm warnings issued for practically every single storm, and mostly some of these storms produced strong winds. Definitely an interesting thing right here, but though I don't think it ever went tornado warned, but very interesting to see. And so it seems like that middle cell died, and you could really tell like there's definitely a supercell structure on these storms. Here, let's see if I can see when we can see the max amount of supercell structure. So we definitely have a supercell going on over here that's going on. Looks like a supercell there, supercell there, and around Macomb Township, I believe that also went and is a supercell. Yep, definitely is a supercell. You can tell. So if you look right here, there's an outflow boundary on this storm. You can see. So that's where strong winds will be located on this severe thunderstorm right here, going through Shelby Charter Township and the Utica area. Two storms merge and they begin to die off. And then you can see another outflow boundary run through there. Another severe thunderstorm, it looks like, going through northeastern Macomb County. And the rest of the day, pretty much nothing happens. And then, what happens here is, well known. I believe this is, yes. No, actually, what is that? This week had a lot of severe weather overall. I remember this week in July, we were in some sort of ring of fire, got a crap ton of severe weather. But, let's zoom out and just let the event play out, and I will guide you through every single thing. So you can see there's the storms there, tornado warning, and then there's the outflow boundaries. This went supercell, And these were really well sheared. I mean, I'm looking at these things right now. Definitely like supercell. That's a supercell. Never went tornado warned on that one. But like you could see the outflow boundaries on every single storm, or you could see that they're heavily sheared. Yeah, you can see this one. This right here is definitely hook echo. There's a outflow boundary right here, and as well as there's the hail core, and then there's the inflow and where a tornado would be possible. Another area, outflow, main low pressure area of the supercell, which has tornado potential, and the hail core. And for this one, I think the actual tornado rotation is somewhere in here. We'll take a look on velocity. We can definitely see that outflow boundary, and then several strong multicellular to supercells up here in this region. And we could take a look at Lexington, and I can see if I can point out for when it gets hit. Yep, right there, definite rotation on that thing right there. So you can tell this supercell lasted a pretty long time. So first, this supercell formed up in Dayton, and then it continued moving on to Elmer, then going to Sandusky, looking like it's dying, turning more into multicellular as a other supercell. Here's a outflow boundary region here, tornado possible area, and hail core. And then you have this one right here, and then for some reason I think it picks up on some lake breeze, and as well as the cold front, it looks like about to really cook up the storm. And look at this thing, like it blows up, and look at the rotation. You can see the rotation on velocity of this thing as it goes through, and it produces, it looks to be maybe a small debris ball around the a little north of Lexington, or just picking up hail and rain. So it moves off across with some mini cells up near Bay City for the end of the day, and then producing more cells later into the night, but never really become that big of a situation. And you could really tell like how big of an event this really was, and it was pretty impressive for a Michigan storm threat. And it seems like our final storm dies out right around, like our final supercell at least. And you can see the bow echo from these things, so definitely for London, Canada, that looks like a bow echo. And then you can see our final supercell, definitely a supercell. You can see the little hook echo outflow, like just textbook supercell structures. It dies out over Lake Erie as it moves across, as the rest of the storms in the day become single cell to multicellular. But let's take a moment to look at the velocity of these storms, and then we can also take a look at some things like hail and personal videos at home. Let's take a look on velocity here. So first we're going to focus up on these northern cells. Yep, there it is right there. Couplet, possible couplet, and a very defined couplet around Dayton from that supercell. And that thing becomes relatively strong. You'd almost think it's on the ground, but no, not yet. But in Lexington, that thing becomes very well organized and produces an EF0 tornado as it moves across. So definitely a very impressive storm. Let's move on to some other cells. Otisville is another tornado possible producer. We saw that in the hook echo. And you could really tell that thing is quite alright. And let's continue looking at these cells. Goodland right there, never organized enough, not nearly as enough as northern Lexington. And let's take a look at these storms to the southern region for Michigan. So we'll take a look at the Oakland cell as it moves a little north as Pontiac. Yeah, it never really looked like it was organized enough, but it did have moderate rotation for like a second. Right there, it would have had a chance to produce as well as over Rochester, but could never take full advantage of the environment as it moves across the region. With one more possible one near Caso. Don't think it went tornado warned though. I remember looking at the warnings. It never did. And then we'll take a final look at our southern cells. So, yeah, these were definitely supercells, but they never went tornado warned. And I think it's because they never got any reports, and these things were in. All these regions are very, very well populated. So, putting out a tornado warning would put a city in mass panic. Especially, it definitely doesn't look organized enough, but definitely looks like a huge amount of rotation, but not organized. Like, you need an organized rotation area, but the actual rotation of this thing is absolutely huge, and you could really see on the southern cell, definitely had a chance for a second right there. Look at that. That had a second. I bet you that had a quick funnel, and then it dies out, and then it tries again. Near Ash Township, Exeter Township, but it weakens up again, and it just continues moving along, probably with some very strong winds and hail as it moves across the region. And we can take a look at the rest of the day. Pretty mid, I'm gonna be honest. And if you look west of Marysville, you can see right there, that had another chance. Like, this day had so many chances to be a supercell outbreak. Well, it was a supercell outbreak. It wasn't a tornado outbreak. There was only one tornado that actually produced, and that was on a beachfront. And I think this continued to produce mesos or funnels as it moved across Canada. So, very impressive indeed. And actual, like, outflow boundary, like, just a very good storm overall for Michigan area. So now let's take a look at some of our actual storms. So on this day, basically, an outbreak of multicellular storms and supercells developed across southeastern Michigan on the afternoon of July 14th. And as we saw, most of those storms were strong winds, hail, but there was one tornado in Lexington, but there were several other areas that could have potential. Also, as several homes were damaged from large hail on the sides of their homes from strong winds and hail, and just absolute chaos ensued in areas that were getting impacted by the actual, like, supercells. So, you'll see on the left side of the screen again, I'll have some clips going on from these storms. We had our only tornado reports were in the Sanilac County, North Sanilac County, but we also had a lot of hail reports. We had Ann Arbor had some hail reports around Sterling Heights, northwestern Sterling Heights, looks to be around Pontiac. We have a large hail report, flooding reports for areas in the Thumb, and scattered severe wind gusts, including one possibly made by the National Weather Service as one storm moved across that seemed pretty LP. And for the sounding, I'll put that up now. Soundings were definitely able to produce storms at 77-degree temperatures and high 60s in dew point and a lot of elevated moisture. We had a marginal risk of severe weather, but definitely I think it could have had a slight risk, possibly for strong hail and wind. So I think that the National Weather Service could have done a better job, or the Storm Prediction Center, but it did relatively pretty well, and especially with marking a marginal risk. So I think that was a not bad job by the actual National Weather Service. Shear. So the shear, actually, the most impressive shear was pretty close to Ann Arbor, but it looks like it couldn't grab enough juice, I guess you could say, to really develop any large storms, and that's just how it is. And the environment remained humid throughout the entire evening and allowed for even more scattered thunderstorms to form across the region from during the evening hours, but weren't as significant as the cold front pretty much has gone through with the strongest front, and a lot of the Cape has already been used up. But definitely a really big kind of big day. As for the actual tornado, the tornado touched down southeast Applegate and tracked southeast through Townsend Road and Wixon Road. The main damage in this area was large snapped tree limbs, crop damage, and estimated winds were up to be 70 miles per hour. And the beginning of more concentrated areas of damage were near the intersections of around northern Lexington and between northern Lexington and Sanilac. So definitely was and it was on the ground for 4.3 miles, which is pretty good for a Michigan tornado, especially as it started producing around Applegate here. And if I was storm chasing, this definitely would have been an area to watch that day. So definitely a really nice storm, and it had a lot of potential, and yeah. So I'm sorry for not making any videos today, or not today. My bad. Sorry for not making any I'm sorry for not making any videos. We had the polar vortex, the beginning of the second semester of school, and we've been pretty busy. But I'm making the videos back up since we're in February, and it's gonna be pretty boring. It seems like for the next few days, maybe even weeks. So, yeah, I'm gonna be back, and expect more videos on Wednesdays. Thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.
The National Weather Service controls thunderstorm warning for east central Oakland County in southeastern Michigan, southern Macomb County in southeastern Michigan. At 4:06 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over Rochester.